I'm here with a video today. I think I'm gonna do a series where I'm showing you my different decks sort of in different categories, and some of them might cross over into different categories, but just showing my deck collection, what I think of the different decks and things, which ones are kind of my favorites in each of these categories. So I hope you really enjoy it. So the first category I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my God and Goddess decks. Now they do lean a little more heavily towards like goddesses, just because there is more goddess decks out there than god decks, although there is starting to be more god decks, which is really like nice to kind of have. I like a balance of masculine and feminine energy, but I'll show you the decks that I have. Let me know which ones you have, which ones you like, which ones you don't like, which ones are on your list, all of those things. I love to hear it, love to talk about tarot and oracle cards. So I'll switch the camera around so we can take a look at the decks. So the first deck I'm going to show you is the Goddess Oracle. This is the first Oracle deck I ever got. I got it back in the late 90s when I was still in university, and I still have this original copy. I am missing one card out of this deck, but I still use it. It is probably my favorite Goddess deck. I think that it has the best depictions of the goddesses. I think they're very true to the cultures that they come from, and it's got a great amount of diversity in it. The guidebook that comes with it is really good as well. And the artwork is just, it's beautiful. And I love just the variety that's in here. Really, really lovely. It's probably my favorite goddess deck of all time. And I know it is really loved by a lot of people. Some people don't like the big white borders, but that was a lot more common in decks in the late 90s and into the early 2000s. I think there is a newer version of this now with a bit of a different back. I think the back's the same, but I think it's a bit of a different color. But I really love this deck, and that's why I've had it all these years. And like I said, it was my first Oracle deck that I ever got. So I really, really love this deck. And, you know, I love too that it's not just all, you know, youthful goddesses or beautiful goddesses or love and light. It does have this, you know, kind of darker side to it as well, which I really enjoy. So that's the first deck that I have. The next goddess deck that I got was the Goddess Guidance Oracle. This is by Doreen Virtue. She did this back when she was before she went crazy, basically. But this is also from, I think, the late 90s, early 2000s. This one, she was claiming she had a PhD. Apparently she did not. And so you'll see this on older decks, but then you'll see the PhD go away. So this to me is when she was kind of exploring not just the angel stuff, but also goddesses and gods and things. And that's probably, I think, when she was actually doing her best work. But I actually do like this deck, despite everything that, you know, the changes that she's made and how she's kind of changed her tune on a lot of things. Let's see if we can get this in closer. Yeah, okay. There we go. Okay. So this one I really like as well. Now it has different artists in it, which is pretty typical of a lot of the earlier Doreen Virtue decks, but I still really like this deck. It is sort of a little bit more love and lighty type of deck, but the artwork is really beautiful. I think that it still reads really, really well, and so I still use this deck for a lot of different things. There we go. Get the lighting a little bit better there. And I do like that she has, again, she has things from a lot of different cultures, and she even has like Mary and Mary Magdalene in here, so she does have some, you know, some influence from Christianity as well. So there is like just a large variety of different goddess figures in here. So I still think it is very useful to use. And I like the gold gilding on the side. I'm a sucker for it. This was one of the decks that she told people to burn because it was demonic. So obviously I am keeping it. I guess some people say they're worth something now. I don't know if that's true. There's a lot floating around, but still. The next one that I have is the Goddess Power Oracle by Colette Baron-Reid. This one came out a couple of years ago. It came in a large, like a bigger box that had like a book separate in it. I prefer the Hay House decks where it's all in the same box. To me, it just seemed like excessive packaging. But besides that, I still think it's a really good deck. There aren't really keyword, well, there is keywords on here, but there is like a book that comes with this as well. One thing I like about this particular deck is she includes goddesses that I hadn't really heard of before. So I did like that there was a little bit of variety in this. I do think she tried to as well put some diversity in this, not just of different cultures, but also different ages as well. So like Rhea, for example, she's a Greek goddess that you just don't see in a lot of goddess decks. So I appreciate that she's here. Or Uzumi, I didn't know a lot about her. She's in this deck here. So again, it is, I believe it's the same artist that she usually uses, and I always forget her name. Jenna Della Grottaglia. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But I'm not a big fan of computer type art, but I really love her art and what she does with it. I think it's really beautiful. I love the colors on this. So I really enjoy using this deck. I know this deck is not everyone's favorite, but I do like it. And I do like the variety that's in here. Some people really like that it's matte. I know that matte is very popular right now. Personally, not a huge matte fan, but that's me. We've got Athena here. Mama Kocha. So again, there's like, this is not a goddess I see in a lot of goddess decks, so I really like that. So yeah, really, it's a beautiful deck. I like it. So I will continue to work with this particular deck. The next two decks that I have, I'm just going to put this one away. I have the Goddesses and Sirens and the Gods and Titans Oracle. They're both by Jimmy Manton is the artist. So there's Goddesses and Sirens and Gods and Titans deck. So this is God deck, this is Goddess deck, and I really like that idea because there are so many Goddess decks, but not a lot of God decks. And I really like having a balance. I don't like just having one or the other. So these decks, I do again like the variety in them. The only problem with these decks is I think the style of art is just not to my taste. So it's not about the deck being bad or reading bad. They read great, and the guidebooks that come with them are really wonderful as well. It's just they're very like superhero-y. So we have, there's a white woman or white buffalo woman. Yes, I'm saying it wrong. But like, for example, Helen of Troy, like she looks very warrioress here. And I mean, that's fine for like a warrioress goddess, but Helen of Troy, you know, I don't really think of her in that way. So the artwork isn't really my style. Joan of Arc, I guess, you know, she's a warrioress. Yemaya, and there isn't a lot of variety as far as like age, because they're all sort of in that very youthful, superhero-y type of body form. But I still think it's a valuable deck because I do, like I said, like the variety that's in them. And I like pairing the two decks together, the God and Goddess decks. I think that they work really, really well together. They're very superhero sexy, all of this. Like, okay, this one bugs me because Vesta, she's goddess of home and hearth, and they have her here sort of in this very warrior, sexy like stance, and that's not really how I see Vesta. Now, of course, not every artist is going to have, you know, your image in mind. You're not going to agree with every artist, but, you know, Vesta's not really known for that kind of energy. Aphrodite here. Boudica. So yes, so that is the Goddesses and Sirens. And then the pairing with that, as I stumble around with things, is the Gods and Titans deck. So again, it is all very superhero sexy in this deck. Well, not my version of sexy, but some people's. So there you got Thoth there. I do like having a God deck, though. I have to admit, I wish there were more God decks. Like, in a way, I wish Colette Baron Reid would do a God Power Oracle to go with the Goddess one. I think they would be a great pair. Poseidon. And there is a variety in this particular deck from different cultures, which I really appreciate. It's the Green Man, Apollo, Odin, Ra. So you've got, like, you know, gods and goddesses from all sorts of different cultures. And some of these, like this one, I've never heard of before. So it's good because I learned something that's like a little bit outside of my wheelhouse, which I definitely appreciate Hades, Maui. So yeah, they're really good. I mean, if you like this kind of artwork, I mean, that's awesome. It's just, it's not my particular taste, but I think that these decks are still really valuable, really great to work with. The guidebooks that come with them are excellent. So I still really enjoy these decks, even if it's not my favorite style of art. The next deck that I have is the Mythic Oracle, and this is all, you know, Greek/Roman gods. This is, well, it's the Greek pantheon, and it comes with a really nice book as well. This one, the artwork's a little more to my taste. So it has like not just gods and goddesses in here, it also has, you know, heroes and figures from Greek mythology. So if you're into Greek mythology, I would really recommend this particular deck. Love this Hades here. Like I said, the guidebook is quite good. But see, this is more like Hestia or Vesta. This is a little bit more how I might envision her. We've got Pandora, Atlas, Prometheus. I never know how to pronounce this. Mnemosyne. I never know. Anyway, she's memory. We've got Hera here. Helen of Troy. See, this is a little more the way I see Helen of Troy. Bellerophon. So you can see it's very, very Greek. It's the Greek pantheon. So if you're interested in working with the Greek pantheon, I definitely think that this is a deck worth getting. Now I'll show you a couple more decks that, you know, maybe would fall more into a little bit more of an angelic category, but I still put them into the god and goddess category. So I have Keepers of the Light by Kyle Gray. Love this deck. It's a beautiful deck. It is a warm hug deck. It's not a dark deck in any way. It contains angels, ascended masters, different gods and goddesses. For example, we have Mercury here. Love this depiction. It's also got the gilding that I love. So it's very, you know, typical kind of, you know, Hay House deck. It sort of makes me think of the Doreen Virtue decks in a way, but I like Kyle Gray's stuff. So we've got Isis here. And then we've got, you know, sort of like a galactic being, another galactic type being. We've got Odin. So it's a real mix of all sorts of different divine type of beings. So if you're into more sort of, you know, a little bit more new agey, or you just want something with a little different variety in it, I still like this deck. I enjoy this deck. It's a good deck. I pull it about once a month. It gives you different guides and things. I think it's a really sweet deck, and often gives you, like, you know, when you need a warm spiritual hug, that's what this deck is for. The next one I'm going to show you is the Ascended Masters Oracle cards by Doreen Virtue. Again, this is from the era where she's claiming she had a PhD. And this is also one that she told people to burn because it's demonic. The demons, they're so sweet, aren't they? So just they're so love and light, it just sort of makes me laugh. So this one, you know, she has, again, different ascended masters in here. We've got Moses. We've got, you know, things from different cultures and things. I don't use this deck a lot, but I do use it sometimes, and I still find it quite valuable. People may not like the borders. This, again, was a thing in the early 2000s, these sort of elaborate borders. But I think it's, again, like, it's a warm hug deck. It's, you know, it's very sweet. I do like that it has, you know, gods and goddesses from different cultures, and, you know, sort of ascended masters from different backgrounds and things. So it still is a really nice deck to work with. And if you like this kind of stuff, you know, I think it's definitely one worth getting. I don't know if this is in reprint or not, because she did say she did not want this one produced anymore, but I'm sure you can find it because there are lots of copies out there. So those are my God and Goddess decks that I have. Let me know which ones you like, which ones you don't like, what decks you work with that maybe aren't in this list. Are there any that you recommend? I would love to hear that. Thank you so much for watching.